Hi, I'm Rebecca from SimplePracticalBeautiful.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make a self-watering container. It's also called a wicking bucket or a sub-irrigation planter. A watertight container that has the water on the bottom and slowly wicks or pulls the water up into the soil to give your plants just the right amount of water. So I'm going to use this old bucket, but you can use any container that is watertight and can have a hole drilled inside of it. A PVC pipe, it's about 18 inches long. I use 3/4 inch wide PVC pipe, some sand, some lava rock, landscape fabric, a small piece of filtering material such as a screen or a shade cloth, a zip tie, potting soil, and whatever plants or seeds you want to grow. The only tools you'll need are a drill and a PVC cutter. So the first thing we need to do is drill a hole for drainage. We're going to use a 3/4 inch PVC pipe to drain, so that means we need to use a 1-inch drill bit to drill the hole, so that, because a 3/4 inch PVC pipe is actually 1 inch around on the outside. But first we need to measure and make sure our drainage hole is about 2 inches up, because that first 2 inches is going to be the water reservoir, and above that is going to be soil, so we want extra water to drain out and not soak up into the soil and overwater the plants. So we're going to drill right there at about 2 inches. Alright, I need about 4 inches of PVC pipe, so I'm just going to kind of eyeball 4 inches over and cut my PVC pipe with the PVC pipe cutters, and it's just squeezing it in, and there's my 4-inch piece. Okay, now that we have our hole drilled into our bucket, we need to get our PVC pipe ready to go in, but we can't just stick it in like it is, or soil, dirt, sand, whatever will flow out through there. So we need a filter to let only water pass out and keep the soil in. So you can use landscaping cloth. I have some leftover screen here that we have, anything that will filter out the soil but let the water pass. So I'm going to use this landscaping cloth and put it around the end, and then attach it with just a simple zip tie. And make sure it's all the way on there. And pull it really tight, because we don't want this coming off. And then we're going to stick it inside and attach it from the inside of the bucket coming out. And because they are exactly the same size, it does take a little bit of pressure to get it through, but once it is, there we go. We have our pipe on the inside, only allowing water to come out, and this water pipe, drainage pipe, on the outside. Okay, now that the bucket is ready with its drainage hole, it's time to add our wicking material. Now you can use t-shirt material or cotton, and that wicks really well, but it also disintegrates and deteriorates over time, so it will only last you a few months or a year until it dissolves. So instead we're going to use sand. Now this sand came from my son's sandbox that we built last year, so we had to add a little bit of water, but the sand's really good at soaking it up, which is why it's a great wicking material. But if you buy sand in the bag, it already comes slightly damp, so you don't have to worry about adding water. But you pack it in to some kind of 2-inch pot or container that's about as high as your hole here, and then we're going to put it into the bottom of the bucket. Now the easiest way to put it in without having it all spill all over is actually to put the bucket over the container of sand and flip it over. So now I have my sand down there at the bottom of the bucket. And then we're going to add our lava rock. You can add gravel or whatever else, but it's really just to hold where the water is. So the lava rock is very porous. It will hold lots of water. here's the lava rock down at the bottom with my container of sand. Let's even it out. And you'll notice it comes right about to the height of my drainage tube, which is great. So now I need to remove the container from the sand and poke the sand off so you're in a nice even tower. There we go. A little bit. You'll need a piece of landscaping fabric a little larger than your container is wide, with a hole in the middle so that the soil can touch the sand and the sand can wick the water up into the soil. And you'll put it around the lava rock just so that my potting soil doesn't get into the lava rock, because that would kind of defeat the whole purpose of lava rock holding water. So it's got a little cut for the drainage hole, and of course the hole where the sand is all flattened down there, and now we're ready to add soil. Once the bucket has its landscaping fabric blocking the soil from getting into the lava rocks, we're going to add soil. But first, I want a way to add water down to my water reservoir without having to soak through all the soil to get there. So I'm going to add the rest of my PVC pipe here, and it goes all the way down to the lava rock. So I can pour water just in through the hole on the top. It will take the water down to the water reservoir and water the plants. And then I'm going to add my potting soil. Now you do need to make sure your potting soil is slightly damp, because completely dry potting soil will not wick up the water, and so your wicking sand won't work and won't water your plants. But soil that comes straight out of the bag is usually slightly damp, and it's perfect for potting plants. Alright, now that my container is full of nice, moist potting soil, I'm ready to add my plants. And I've got a small basil plant here I'm going to add. I've got another basil cutting that I'm going to put in, and I'm going to do a post later on how to grow cuttings. I also have my seeds here that I've been sprouting. I'm going to do a tomato planter too, so I can have a nice tomato basil planter here. And I just add water through the PVC pipe right here in the top. And any extra water comes out through my drainage hole so my soil doesn't get too wet. This water can now be reused to water other plants. Now I'm not quite sure how often I will need to water this. It depends on the plants, it depends on the air and evaporation. So this one I will come and check every few days, water it, see how much water it needs. I may be able to go a couple weeks without watering it, but we'll test it out. It's been about 2 months, and you can see my basil plant is doing really well. It's grown nicely, plus I added a parsley plant into my self-watering container. I water the plant about every 4 to 5 days, because now that it's summer, the soil dries out faster, and that seems to be the right amount. I also planted some cucumbers over there in that self-watering bucket. They're starting to get a little sunburnt, but that's easy in this container. It's easier to move them into a less sunny spot. And I have my strawberries in this little blue self-watering container. You'll notice these last two didn't have a PVC pipe down into the soil for adding water. I just water the plant directly, and extra water flows down into that water reservoir, and any excess comes out our little drainage spout.